Ever since Burma's independence in 1948, Burma has been in a continuous state of political division and civil war. A ceasefire between the Burmese government and most armed groups existed from 2015 until Burma's latest military coup in February 2021. But when the Burmese military returned to power and overthrew the country's elected leaders, all regional armed groups had to immediately decide to either fight against or ally themselves with the military dictatorship. Today, there are estimated to be at least 170 armed groups fighting either for or against the Burmese dictatorship. These are the top 11 groups in the ongoing Burmese Civil War, ranked by size and manpower. Number 11, the Chin National Army. The CNA is the armed wing of the Chin National Front, a Chin ethnic insurgent group seeking greater autonomy in Myanmar's western Chin state. It was formed on March 20th, 1988 by Chin students fleeing persecution following the junta's bloody crackdown of pro-democracy protests that year. It established bases in India's Mizoram province and reportedly receives arms and material support from the Indian External Intelligence Service, the Research and Analysis Wing. After its establishment, it received training and organizational support from the Kachin Independence Army, number 6 on this list, which had by that point been fighting the Tatmadaw for 3 decades. After the 2021 military coup, the CNA allied with other anti-junta forces, training and supplying them. They gained control of about 80% of Chin state by early 2024. Ongoing operations focus on defending Chin territory, ambushing junta convoys, and expanding influence in costly operations, such as Operation 1027, in which coordinated anti-junta forces captured about 200 military bases and 20 towns. Number 10, the Karenni Nationalities Defense Force. The KNDF did not exist before the February 2021 coup. It only formed in that month as a grassroots community-based armed resistance militia. Shortly following the 2021 coup, the governor of Kaya State refused to recognize the legitimacy of the military government and publicly called for widespread opposition to the coup. This led to a sustained violent campaign by the Tatmadaw in Kaya State to subdue it, resulting in widespread violence and human rights abuses against civilians, leading to high rates of civilian mortality and displacement in the region. Since its formation, the KNDF has engaged mostly in defensive and guerrilla military operations designed to repel Tatmadaw incursions and protect civilian populations in Kaya State. Although it has achieved some success in local tactical operations, it is heavily outmatched by the Tatmadaw's organization, equipment, and ability to project force, and it has not achieved the goal of limiting the Tatmadaw's ability to conduct large-scale operations in the region. Number 9, the Shan State Army North. The Shan State Army was founded in 1964, 2 years after the Tatmadaw's first coup. It was one of many groups who took advantage of the regional vacuum in government authority at that time to seize control of a large area in northern Shan State, up to the Chinese border. It was founded as the armed wing of the Shan State Progressive Party, seeking greater autonomy and rights for Shan people. Historically, it tolerated and taxed opium cultivation in its territory, but was not a main cartel leader. Its territory was recognized by the Burmese government in a 1989 ceasefire, but fighting continued. In 2005, the SSA-N was forced to abandon its main base area in central Shan State, but refused to disarm. Unlike most other armed groups in Myanmar, the SSA-N never agreed to a ceasefire with the democratic government after 2016 and lost territory between then and 2021. Since the 2021 coup, the SSA-N has avoided large-scale offensives and focused on defending its territory. It does not coordinate with either the Tatmadaw or anti-Tatmadaw forces, leading to its political marginalization. It was not part of 2023's Operation 1027, and its influence in Shan state is limited. Number 8. The Myanmar National Democratic Alliance Army. The MNDAA are one of the two armed groups that resulted from the dissolution of the Communist Party in Burma, which itself had been founded in 1939 and had been fighting against the Burmese government since the year of its founding in 1948. The MNDAA governs an area of Shan State on the Chinese border populated by Han Chinese people who fled to the area to escape the destruction of the Ming Dynasty in the late 16th and early 17th centuries. Although China has not formally recognized the MNDAA, China has indirectly supported the MNDAA via economic integration, tolerance of cross-border trade, and diplomatic mediation with its enemies. The MNDAA signed a ceasefire with the Tatmadaw in 1989, but was later involved in violent clashes with the Tatmadaw in 2009, 2015, and 2021. Following the 2021 coup, the MNDAA has cooperated with other anti-Tatmadaw forces and has been one of the most successful groups fighting against it. In 2023, it captured large areas of northern Shan State, including major cities and key trade routes to China. But the largest cities were lost in a Tatmadaw counteroffensive in 2025. Since 2024, the MNDAA began issuing policy statements in Chinese. It has attempted to establish itself as a Chinese-backed proto-state, attempting to move the area under its control from an illicit economy dominated by drugs, casinos, and online scams towards the formal integration of its infrastructure, governance, and trade with those of China. Number 7. The Daong National Liberation Army. The TNLA is a branch of the local armed groups that have been fighting for Balong autonomy, a movement that first emerged the year after the Tatmadaw's first coup in 1963. The TNLA itself was founded in 2009 as the armed wing of the Balong State Liberation Front, a Balong political group founded in 1992. By the early 2010s, the TNLA had only 42 soldiers and 22 rifles, but grew to around 4,000 fighters by 2015. It was one of the groups who refused to sign the ceasefire brokered by the democratic government in 2016 and continued to fight against the Tatmadaw in this period. It was notable for acting as an anti-narcotics force in the region it controlled, burning poppy fields and destroying infrastructure related to methamphetamine production. After the 2021 coup, the Tatmadaw diverted resources away from northern Shan State, and the TNLA consolidated its control over the area, developing its infrastructure and expanding its recruitment. It has cooperated with anti-Tatmadaw forces, but has avoided direct large-scale conflicts with the Tatmadaw, instead expanding at the expense of rival armed groups. In 2026, it was attacked by its nominal ally, the MNDAA, number 8 on this list, and lost territory to it. In 2026, it also sent troops into areas controlled by the SSA-N, number 9 on this list, leading to conflicts between them in 9 locations. Number 6. The Kachin Independence Army. Kachin armed resistance began the year after Burma's independence in 1949, when large numbers of Kachin Tatmadaw soldiers rebelled. During the colonial period, the British disproportionately recruited ethnic Kachin men into the Burmese army, so by independence the Kachin were some of the most experienced soldiers in Myanmar. By 1961, Kachin resistance coalesced into the formation of the Kachin Independence Organization, with the KIA acting as its military wing. The KIA expanded rapidly in the 1970s and 1980s and developed an economy based largely on the export of jade, timber, and gold to China. In 1994, the KIA signed a truce with the Tatmadaw, effectively granting it uncontested control over large areas of Kachin state with its capital at Laiza, near the Chinese border. This ceasefire held until 2011 when the Tatmadaw attacked KIA positions close to the controversial Chinese-backed hydropower project, the Myitsone Dam, which required the displacement of local populations and was to be used to export energy to China. This conflict never concluded and has led to the displacement of about 100,000 civilians. The dam was never complete, though the Tatmadaw has tried to resume its construction under Chinese pressure. The KIA has been one of the most aggressive and successful groups fighting against the Tatmadaw since 2021, operating both inside and beyond Kachin state. Since 2024, it has launched major offensives that have captured dozens of junta bases, towns, and trade routes. The Tatmadaw has responded with heavy airstrikes, especially against urban areas, but the KIA remains entrenched and is stronger than it has been at any point in its history. As of May 2026, it controls about half of Kachin state, especially along its northern and eastern borders, and parts of northern Shan state. Number 5. The Karen National Liberation Army. The KNLA is one of the oldest ethnic armed groups in Myanmar, originally formed the year after Burma's independence in 1949. During its colonial administration, the British recruited soldiers for the Burmese army disproportionately from Karen areas, and by 1949 the KNLA was possibly the most experienced army in Burma. Most senior Karen leaders were opposed to the Japanese-aligned Burmese military in World War II and did not support Karen state's inclusion into Burma in 1948. At one point in 1949, the KNLA captured Insein, a suburb of Yangon, but was ironically pushed back with the cooperation of Karen pilots working for the Tatmadaw, who were themselves later attacked and imprisoned by the regime when they were no longer useful. The KNLA controlled Karen state and large areas along its border until 1995, when an offensive led by the Tatmadaw and supported by a rival Karen group, the Democratic Karen Buddhist Army, captured its base area and forced it to retreat closer to the Thai border. It signed a ceasefire agreement with the Tatmadaw in 2012, which largely held until the 2021 coup. The KNLA has been one of the most active groups fighting against the Tatmadaw. It has gained territory along the Thai border, but has also been the target of heavy airstrikes and counteroffensives. The Tatmadaw's indiscriminate bombing of civilian areas has prevented the KNLA from controlling and holding urban areas effectively. It engages in constant guerrilla campaigns but does not yet have a means to counter Tatmadaw air power, limiting its potential success in conventional warfare. Number 4. The United Wa State Army. Ethnic Wa people were the backbone of the communist insurgency that was active in Burma from 1949 to 1989. The UWSA is one of the two armed groups that formed after the collapse of the Communist Party of Burma in 1989. Since then, its political wing, the United Wa State Party, has operated as the de facto government of Wa State, a rugged autonomous region about the size of the Netherlands along the China-Myanmar border. The UWSA has been equipped and supported by China since its formation in 1989. Wa State's economy is deeply integrated with that of China, relying on cross-border trade, infrastructure, and investment from Yunnan to function. It largely avoided conflicts with the Tatmadaw in the 1990s, but its efforts to expand into Shan state led to conflicts with the Tatmadaw in the 2000s and 2010s. These conflicts ended in a stalemate in which the UWSA withdrew from some disputed areas but retained strong control of Wa State proper. The USWA refused to accept the 2016 ceasefire agreement, and by the late 2010s it was the largest ethnic army in Myanmar. The UWSA is today the best equipped and most capable ethnic army in Myanmar, since its army is trained by China and supplied with Chinese-made small arms, artillery, armored vehicles, drones, and surface-to-air missiles. It has largely avoided direct conflict with the Tatmadaw since 2021, but has quietly expanded into historically disputed areas of Shan state vacated by the Tatmadaw since the coup, and has seized some areas from anti-Tatmadaw militias. In this way, the USWA has maintained its neutrality while benefiting from the Civil War's instability. Number 3, the Arakan Army. The AA was founded in 2009 by Rakhine nationalists. It was originally trained by the Kachin Independence Army and fought with them in northwest Myanmar against the Tatmadaw. In 2015, it fought in the Kokang War, along with the MNDAA and TNLA against the Tatmadaw, raising its profile among anti-Tatmadaw groups. In 2016, the group relocated to Rakhine State and began to fight against the Tatmadaw in their home state, growing rapidly through local recruitment. It was not included in ceasefire agreements with the democratic government in 2016, and Myanmar designated it as a terrorist organization in 2020. Since the 2021 coup, the AA has capitalized on the instability of the Burmese government. Following the AA's capture of Mrau, the Tatmadaw's indiscriminate artillery shelling and bombing damaged the historical ruins there. Since 2024, it has controlled most of Rakhine State and has expanded into Chin State and the regions of Magway and Sagang. It has also sent fighters to aid anti-Tatmadaw forces in Kachin and Shan states, effectively evolving the AA into a force capable of projecting force across Myanmar. Number 2, the People's Defense Force. The PDF did not exist before the 2021 coup. The PDF was created in May 2021 as the armed wing of the National Unity Government, a government formed by Burmese politicians to oppose the Tatmadaw following the February 2021 coup. Its membership is mostly composed of young ethnic Bamar people operating in loose cells conducting guerrilla operations in central Myanmar, especially Sagang, Magway, and Mandalay. The PDF operates alongside other ethnic armed groups when possible. As of 2026, the PDF reports full control of approximately 95 townships, mostly in the countryside of Sagang and Magway. Continued Tatmadaw superiority in air power and artillery support have led to stalemates in cities, but junta supply lines and power projection have been cut off in PDF-controlled regions. Number 1, the Tatmadaw. The Tatmadaw was formed in 1941, originally as the Burma Independence Army. Its leadership was originally trained and indoctrinated by fascist Japan, but the Japanese Army's treatment towards Burma's population and its refusal to grant meaningful autonomy to the nation after its capture in 1942 led its leader Aung San to betray the Japanese and join the British as they advanced on Rangoon in 1945. Aung San was pivotal in negotiating Burma's independence from Britain in 1948, but his assassination shortly before Burma's independence left the control of the Tatmadaw in the hands of the one subordinate of Aung San's, who he was most suspicious and distrustful of, Ne Win. A civil war broke out shortly after independence, and by the 1960s many ethnic groups complained that the Tatmadaw's widespread mistreatment of the civilian population was evidence that the Burmese national project had failed. Partially in response to criticism against him, Ne Win overthrew the Burmese government in a coup in 1962, and afterwards attempted to reform the Burmese government based on his interpretation of socialism, which in practice meant seizing all private property and making all private businesses illegal, while neglecting to provide any equivalent public goods or services. These policies, combined with Ne Win's decision to intentionally cut Burma off from any foreign trade, led the country from being one of the most developed economies in Asia upon its independence to becoming the second poorest country in Asia by the 1980s, after only Vietnam. Since its independence in 1948, Burma has been in a state of constant civil war, but the Tatmadaw was largely able to retain power because it was nominally supported by both superpowers. So there was insufficient foreign support for the armed groups opposing it. The USA supported the Tatmadaw because the Burmese government was actively fighting a communist insurgency. The USSR supported the Tatmadaw because the communist insurgency was directly supported by China, which had an antagonistic relationship with the USSR for much of the Cold War. Since the disintegration of the Burmese Communist Party in 1989, the Tatmadaw has received large-scale military, technical, and economic support from China. In 2015, the Tatmadaw agreed to hold fair elections, and even though it was constitutionally allowed to appoint 25% of the national legislature, it lost. The Tatmadaw's extreme and increasing unpopularity led it to losing nearly all elected seats in the November 2020 elections. Following this defeat, its leader, General Min Aung Hlaing, retook power in a coup in February 2021. After the 2021 coup, the Tatmadaw responded to nationwide protests with violence, leading to the deaths of over 800 protesters and leading to the growth of organized militias across Myanmar to oppose them. In the countryside, it resorted to mass arrests and burning villages in which protests against them had occurred. This violence led to the rise of PDF militias and increased recruitment opportunities for anti-Tatmadaw armed groups. Since 2021, the Tatmadaw has been fighting a war on multiple fronts. It has regained control of most major cities, but has lost control of most of the countryside, especially in Sagaing and Magway districts and Chin, Rakhine, and Kaya states. As of 2026, the Tatmadaw is in a state of relative stalemate, reliant on garrisoning the cities it controls while conducting indiscriminate air strikes to prevent opposition forces from consolidating effective control. Internationally, the Tatmadaw has been heavily supported by China, who has shielded it from sanctions and resolutions in the UN, supplied it with billions of dollars of aid and investment, and provided it with advanced weapons. The Tatmadaw benefits because its opposition, as in the Cold War, has little effective international support. As of 2026, the most likely conclusion of the Burmese Civil War seems to be the de facto partitioning of Myanmar, in which multiple autonomous zones and a weakened central area controlled by the junta eke out some tenuous coexistence.